Hello learners, this is Teacher Aiza. I am your partner in learning. Welcome for today's session. I am your teacher in Practical Research 1, so let's learn and have fun. Before we start our class, let's have first our prayer. So let's put ourselves in the holy presence of God.
Lord God, thank you so much for giving us another day to study and prepare for a good life in the future. Thank you for giving us the chance to continue learning amidst the pandemic, which caused a lot of changes in our lives. Bless our parents who work hard to support us. Bless our teachers who are doing their best to inspire and guide us, especially in these trying times. Bless our country and the people who continue fighting to stop the pandemic. Lord, fill us with your wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Give us good memory so that we might understand and remember what we are going to study now. These we pray in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
To start with, let us check first your attendance. So let's have Alvarado, Baron, Kadayday, Di Alagdon, Estipona, Fajardo, Gengosa, Zabate. Very good. Nobody is absent for this session. So, are you ready for today's session? I hope so that you are ready for this session. So, let's have our topic. Alright, for today's lesson is to follow ethical standards in writing related literature. And our objectives, these are our objectives. First, identify ethical standards in writing related literature. Second, evaluate the statements when writing a review of related literature. Third, display perseverance in accomplishing all the activities embedded in this lesson. And lastly, you have to work with honesty and integrity. Okay, so are you ready? I hope so. So please sit back and let's have fun. Okay, to start, let's have first a pretest in a form of a game. The game is actually called Finger Twister. This is a classroom quiz with a twist. Okay, so have you heard about this game? Oh well, I guess you're not familiar with this game, but if you happen to play in a spinning wheel, then it's good since it's almost similar with the game Finger Twister. Okay, so let's start. Okay, the goal for this game is for you to answer if the prepared statement is true or false. There are 10 statements and these statements are related to our topic. Are you ready? Okay, please get ready. Okay, please be ready because I will start spinning now. So, the first spin. Okay. Oops. Alright, so the yellow color. So let's start with the first question for yellow color. Okay. It is very important to ensure that a research study is sensitive to community needs, social needs, and norms. What do you think is the answer? Is it true or false? What is your answer? Okay, it is true. The correct answer is true. Very good. Next. Whoop. Okay, red color. So let's start with the first question in red. Research ethic is important, for it may support important social and moral values such as the principle of doing no harm to others. Do you agree? True or false? What is your answer? What? Is it true or false? False? Are you sure? Okay, but the correct answer is true. Okay, next question. Let me spin again. Whoop. Oh, from blue color. For blue, question number 1. Letters written to potential respondents should not contain their name and addresses or address, as this is personal information. True or false? How about the other? What is your answer? Is it true or false? False? Okay, how about the others? True? Okay, what do you think is the correct answer? Do you think the letters written to the respondents should not contain their name? Okay, the correct answer is false. It should contain their names. Okay, next. Oh, blue again. So we only have 2 statements in blue. So this is the last one for blue color. Okay. Confidentiality is the practice of keeping strictly secret and private information or measurements obtained from an individual doing a research study. True or false? You already have, or you started your research, right? So what do you think is the answer? True or false? Okay, it is true. Always keep it confidential. Okay, next. Let me spin again. Oops. Oh, green. So we are done with 2 statements from blue, and first statement in yellow and red also. So let's have now the green. So first statement in green. Okay, social and economic conditions that make persons vulnerable do not have to be considered by researchers or sponsors. What do you think? Is it true or false? Do you think it is false? How about the others? Okay, actually it is false. It should be considered. Okay, next. Let me spin again. Okay, so it's green color. So let's have the first question for green color. Okay, social and economic conditions that make person vulnerable do not have to be considered by researchers or sponsors. What do you think? Is it true or false? Is it true or false? What about the others? Is it true or false? Okay, the answer is false. It should be considered by the researchers or sponsors. Okay, next. Let me spin again. Oh, it's red. So we are now in the second statement for red color. For number 2, plagiarism occurs when a researcher purposefully withholds information or misleads participants with regard to information about a study. True or false? What do you think? Plagiarism is what? Okay, what do you think is the answer? Is it true or false? It's actually false. So, next question. Okay. Oh, green again. So for green, this is the last statement for green color. Social risks associated with research participation are not the responsibility of the researcher or the sponsor. Do you think it is not the responsibility of the researcher? What do you think? What is your answer? Okay, the correct answer is false. It is actually a responsibility of the researcher or the sponsor. Okay, next. Oh, we are done with blue and green. So we have four more statements left. Two from yellow and two from red. Okay. Oh, question for yellow. Second, ethics are beliefs that an individual or group uses to decide what is proper behavior. What is your answer? Very easy, right? True or false? Okay, very good. Correct answer is true. Next. Oh, there's no question for that. It's in between blue and red. Let me spin again. Oh, it's green, but no more statement for green color. Oh, it's yellow. Last statement for yellow color. Ethical issues are not concerned as long as those who become the subject of your work are not aware of what you are doing. True or false? It is false. Oh, finally, it's red. The last statement in red. Okay, let me check. Okay, anonymity is the practice of ensuring that an individual's name is not directly associated with the information or measurements obtained from that individual. True or false? What is your answer? The word anonymous. What is your answer? True or false? Okay, it is true. Very good. You have to keep it private as much as possible. Okay. So, did you enjoy our pre-test activity in a form of game? I hope so that you enjoy. So, I know you are having fun. Okay, do you want more? Okay, I hope that you enjoyed our activity. This time, I will give you another task. Please get your pen and your paper. Right? So this is the direction. Decide whether the following statements show ethical or unethical practice related to research. Again, you only decide if the statements show ethical or unethical practice related to research. For number one, requiring a group of high school sophomores in Eloginsa National High School to sign a form in which they agree to participate in a research study. Ethical or unethical? Number two, asking first graders insensitive questions without obtaining the consent of their parents to question them. Ethical or unethical? Number three, a researcher in Eloginsan ensures confidentiality of data among his or her research participants. Ethical or unethical? Number four, a researcher deletes data he or she collected that do not support his or her hypothesis. Ethical or unethical? Number five, the last statement. A researcher ensures that his or her subject knows the purpose of the study and the possible benefits or harms. Ethical or unethical? Okay. So, have you had your answer now? Okay, let us check your answer. For number one question, is it ethical or number one? Okay, for number one statement, requiring a group of high school sophomores in Eloginsa National High School to sign a form in which they agree to participate in a research study. What is your answer? Ethical? Oh, unethical? Okay. The correct answer is unethical. Why? Because they already agreed to participate in the research study. So it is unethical. Okay, number 2, asking first graders insensitive questions without obtaining the consent of their parents to question them. Oh, very good. It is unethical. Correct. Okay. Next, number 3. A researcher in Aluginsan ensures confidentiality of data among his or her research participants. Ethical or unethical? Very good. It is ethical. Another, number 4, a researcher deletes data he or she collected that do not support his or her hypothesis. Ethical or unethical? Unethical. Very good, learners. Number 5 statement. Last one. A researcher ensures that his or her subject knows the purpose of the study and the possible benefits or harms. What's the correct answer? Very good, learners. It's ethical. Okay. Now, I guess you are ready for our topic. Alright, for those who are able to get the 5 correct answers, it's good for you. You really did a good job. And for those who are not able to get the correct answer, don't worry, you still have it next time. Remember, learning is fun. Now, let me ask you a question. How are you able to come up with your answers? Okay? Yeah, maybe you would always say, we come up with our answer based on our prior knowledge. Yeah, that's very good answer. Next, why did you say that such statement is ethical and unethical? Maybe you would say that you base your answer on the good practices that our researchers have done. And for the unethical, you base your answer from the practices that is not good or the wrong practices that has or have done by the researchers. Okay, that's correct. You have your idea. And I guess you are now ready for our topic. Very much ready for our topic. That's good. So let's proceed to our main topic. The ethical standards in writing related literature. Okay. Ethical concerns affect research. The term ethics refers to question of right and wrong. So that's why you have an idea a while ago while I asked you a question. So when researchers think about ethics, the question, is it right to conduct a particular study or carry out certain procedure, must be considered. Right? So ethics refers to norms for conduct that distinguish between acceptable and unacceptable behavior. So you have guessed it right that you actually base your answer from the practices that the researchers have done. So it also refers to rules in making a distinction between right and wrong. Okay, so look at this one. Right from wrong. Okay, so why is there a need for ethics? Why do we need ethics? Especially when conducting your study. Okay, so norms promote the aims of research such as knowledge, truth, and avoidance of error. So that's why we need guidelines or ethics. Norms also promote the values that are essential to collaborative work such as trust. You also have accountability, mutual respect, and fairness. Ethics also, they protect intellectual property, interest, and encourage confidentiality even in collaboration. That's why we need ethics. Another, we have norms ensure that researcher can be held accountable to the public. So that is why if you are a researcher, you must be careful. Okay? You must always protect your research participants also. Then, to a certain extent, they draw parameters within which what ideas to write and how they should be written. Okay, that's the purpose of ethics. Another, norms promote a variety of other important moral and social values. Ethical lapses in research can significantly harm human and animal subjects, students, and the public. So that's why you as a student in Alginsan National High School and you have your research study, you must be careful. Okay? You have to follow the ethical standards or the guidelines. Right? Okay, another, norms help to build public support for research. This happens when individuals and organizations believe in the integrity and credibility of the researchers or researcher. They offer funding for projects. Yes, this is actually true because if your research is actually beneficial to the community, there is also a tendency that even the LGU will sponsor your research study. Okay. So that's the purpose of ethics, right? Now, why should ethical standards be observed in the literature? Okay, why? The answer is, in writing a literature review, researchers must follow a set of ethical standards or guidelines to ensure, again, credibility, academic honesty, and integrity among researchers. So, bear that in your mind as you conduct your own study in Elginsan National High School. You have to consider or observe the ethical standards. Do you get me? Do you get the point, learners? Very good. Right. Now, ethical standards in writing related literature by Resnick 2015. So, if ever you have your study or research study, so whatever is your findings, you have to report your findings with honesty, right? Then, to not misrepresent, mislead, and or intentionally misinterpret. Remember that. Then you have also to give appropriate credit when using other people's work. Do not, if you're using others people's work, then please give them the credit. Okay? So you have to remember that because you are actually a researcher. Okay. Researcher from grade 11. Please bear this in your mind. Okay. Okay. When presenting a written review of literature, there are steps to follow. This format in writing related literature by Frankel Wales 2010. Okay, so the first one is introduction. The introduction briefly describes the nature of the problem. The researcher also explains what led him or her to study and probe into the question and why it is an important question to investigate. So, in short, introduction contains the research problem and the significance of the study. And next, we have the body. The body of the review briefly reports what others have found or thought about the research problem. And related studies are usually discussed together, grouped under subhead to make the review easier to read. Okay, for this also, it is also helpful to make a topic outline as a guide in organizing and writing your body of the literature review. Okay, so you have to bear that in your mind, researcher. Okay, next is the summary. The summary of the review ties together the main ideas revealed in the literature review and presents a composite picture of what is known or thought to date. Findings may be tabulated to give the reader ideas of how many other researchers have reported identical or similar findings or have similar recommendations. So in short, the summary or the synthesis actually presents an overall picture of what was established up to the present. It is important also because it explains why the review is relevant and helpful to the present research. Okay? So you have to remember that, learners. Okay? Next is the conclusions. Any conclusions the researcher feels are justified based on the state of knowledge revealed in the literature should be included. Okay? And lastly, it's the bibliography. Bibliography with full bibliographic data for all sources mentioned in the review is essential. And you can use the format suggested for reference list. So there are actually suggested format that we had discussed last meeting. Okay, so let's recap the steps in presenting your or writing the review of related literature. You have there, the first one is your introduction that briefly describes the problem that you have chosen and the significance of your study. And then you have there the body. Then you have summary. The summary actually it presents the overall picture of what has or what was established up to the present. And you have your conclusion. And lastly, your bibliography. Okay, so now we are done with the following parts in writing review of related literature. So again, let me ask you, what are those parts? Okay, very good. We have introduction, the body, the summary, conclusions, and lastly, the bibliography. So do not forget that there are only 5 steps. So again, I will reiterate, only 5 steps or 5 parts in writing your related review of literature. Now let's have this one. Let's have the question. Why is there a need to consider the different parts in writing a review of related literature? Why do you think so, students? Why do you think so, learners? Why do we need to consider the different parts in writing a review of related literature? Okay, anybody? Yes, very good. Probably. Okay, very good. So, yes, you are right. So, there is a need to consider because it provides an overview of the current knowledge, allowing you to identify relevant theories, methods, and gaps in the existing research. Yes, and since writing a literature review involves finding relevant publications, critically analyzing them and explaining what you found. So that's why it is relevant to consider the different parts in writing a review of related literature. Great job, students! So, we are done with the different parts in writing a review of related literature. Now, let's move on to the characteristics of a good literature review. So, there are actually 6 characteristics. So, first, you have there focus, concise, logical, developed, current, and integrative. So, let's start first with focus. Focus, it means it presents only ideas and reports on studies that are closely related to your topic. And you have there concise. The idea should be presented economically. So idea should be brief, yet it should be substantial. And you also have there logical. So logical, the flow within and among paragraphs should be smooth, logical, progression form or progression from one idea to the next. So there should be a connection from first idea to the next idea. Next, you have there developed. So the ideas are fully and completely written. And you have there current. It should exhibit up-to-date information related to your study. So if you have this, your study must be very good. And then you have their integrative. So it shows how ideas are related and how all reviewed materials contribute to your topic. So again, how many characteristics of a good literature review do we have? Okay, we have 6, right? So we have focus, concise, logical, developed, current, and integrative. Very good, learners. So please remember that. Okay, next. Okay, upon writing your review of related literature, we have to consider this critical evaluation for your literature. So finally, if you are done, so after having written the review of related literature, you are going to use the following questions for critiquing your output. So first, you have to ask yourself, have you organized your material according to issues? Okay, so you have to look at your output and that. Then second, is there a logic to the way you organize your material? Okay. So another, does the amount of detail included an issue relate to its importance? Okay, it's very important that you have to evaluate your work. Then another question to consider is, have you sufficiently been critical of the design and methodological issues? Okay, what design and methods you used? Then, have you indicated when results were conflicting or inconclusive and discussed possible reasons? Okay, you have to look at this also. And lastly, have you indicated the relevance of each reference to your research? Remember, you have to give credit if you use the other's work. Okay, so if you have done this questions or if you are done with this, then your literature must be very good. Okay, so you have to remember that. Okay, all right. I hope you learned something from our lesson for this session and that you also have fun. As a researcher, always remember that you have to protect your participants from harm. Please bear that in your mind, students. Okay? So this time, I want you to get your pen and your paper. So you have to answer another task. I will only give you 5 minutes to answer this. So the direction, you're going to evaluate the following statements when writing a review of related literature, whether this can be categorized as certainly true, probably true, or possibly true. Okay? So, by the way, you might be asking, what's the difference among the three? Okay, the difference is that when you say certainly true, it indicates that you are sure without doubt. You are sure with that statement. Without any doubt. Now, when you say probably true, it indicates that that might be true or it is more likely to be true. For possibly true, it indicates that you are not certain on that statement or you are not sure on that statement. Okay, do you get the point? Very good. Now, let's start with number one. Number one, Chucky and Mendelssohn's 1986 diary study showed that lower level students always depended far more on their teacher and on grammar rules than higher level students. By the way, I am not sure with the pronunciation of the name Chucky and Mendelssohn. Okay, you can research that also. Right, next number two. For number two, Pulitzer 1983 demonstrated that females use social learning strategies substantially more often than males. Number three, research suggests that higher level students may use more effective foreign language learning strategies than students with lower ability. Okay, again, you are going to answer only certainly true, probably true, or possibly true. For number four, Lever believes that their differences in strategies could be due to the way that these individuals gained their language skills rather than age. Okay? For number five, Pulitzer and McGrothy 1985 report the possible importance of language learning goals. Okay, number six. The findings clearly show that in typical language learning situations, women will use more learning strategies than men. Number seven. According to several researchers, it seems that language students use different strategies as they progress. Next number eight. Many researchers assume that the learner's level of motivation is likely to influence the choice of strategies. For number nine, it is a fact that highly motivated learner can learn languages more rapidly and effectively. Next, number 10, last number. We hypothesize, however, that after strategy training, men and women will both show strategy strengths. Again, you have to answer certainly true, probably true, and possibly true. Okay. Shall we check your answer now? Yes, that's good if you are ready. So, let's start checking your answer now. For you students, you also check your answers with honesty and integrity. So, you have to be honest with yourself. Do not just look up your grades or your scores. So, what is more important is you have learned something. Again, because learning is fun. Right. Now, let's have the answer. What do you think is the answer for number 1? Learners. Okay, so the answers. Okay, for number 1, these are the answers. Number 1, certainly true. Number 2, certainly true. Number 3, probably true. 4, possibly true. 5, possibly true. 6, certainly true. 7, probably true. 8, probably true. 9, certainly true. And 10, the last question or the last answer, it is possibly true. Okay, so did you get the correct answer, students? I hope so. So for those who were able to get the correct answer, then congratulations, you did a great job. For the others who are not able to get the correct answer, do not worry because you still have it next time. Okay, all right. Now let's move on to our next activity or next part or next task that you are going to answer. So this time, I would like you to get your paper and your pen again. So at this moment, you are going to answer your assessment. So this is to test whether you really understood the topic or not. So the direction here or the direction says that the following are some examples of written review of literature. Then you're going to tell what set of purposes do the following examples are showing. Clues are given for you to be guided in accomplishing this task. So these are the clues. What are you going to do? You are going to tell what are the purpose or set of purposes of the following examples that I will be showing later on. Okay, and you are provided with the clues. Okay, the first clue or letter A, convincing the reader that research area is are significant, important, or interesting. That's for letter A. Please take note. So, by the way, in answering, you will only choose the letter of your correct answer. Okay. Letter B, please take note, students. Letter B, convincing the reader that we shouldn't be completely satisfied with the existing literature and the topic and that your research will find or will feel some important or interesting gap or address some important limitation or deficiency. Letter C, explaining and justifying your research hypothesis. Letter D, explaining how the historical context for your research guided what you did. Anyways, if you have cell phone there, you can take pictures so that it's not difficult for you to so that it is not difficult for you to answer. Okay. Next, letter E, explaining and justifying your choice of theoretical framework. And letter F, convincing the reader that your research methods are sound and were well thought through. Letter G, introducing relevant terminology and provide definition to clarify how terms are to be used. Okay, so are you ready? So there are how many? There are 7 clues given to you. Okay, are you ready for the assessment? Okay, very good if you are ready, students. Now let's start. Again, as what I have said, you're only going to answer the letters of your correct answers or choice. Okay, so let's have first number 1. This is for number 1. Okay, you can take a look at, or do I need to read? Okay, I will read. The smart antenna is one of the promising techniques to overcome problems of multi-path propagation and co-channel interference in wireless communication networks. In general, it is classified into switch beam and adaptive arrays. The advantages of the switch beam antenna are the simplicity of its tracking algorithm and low cost. However, it is limited in terms of combating interference. The adaptive array offers better performance in terms of fighting interference. However, this is at the expense of higher costs associated with sophisticated signal processing algorithm and complicated hardware implementation. In this paper, which provides an intermediate solution. Okay, that's the source under that. So again, you're going to identify the set of purpose on this example. And you have already the clues given to you. Okay, now let's move on to the second example. Okay, for the second example, the second example, for number 2, knowing that some heart attacks are caused by blood clots forming in a coronary arteries partially blocked by plaque buildup and that aspirin reduces the ability of blood to clot, one might form the hypothesis that perhaps regularly taking small doses of aspirin might reduce the incidence of heart attacks in risk populations. The reason research is needed is because while the idea sounds great in theory, perhaps in practice, taking a dose small enough to avoid problems such as gastrointestinal or cranial bleeds would not lead to any significant reductions in heart attacks. Okay, so again, you have to choose what set of purpose is this example showing. For number 3, research of this type is typically conducted using a cohort or longitudinal design because, and so on. Then, however, these approaches have disadvantages such as, and so on. Then, and these are particularly significant in the context of the present study where, so on. To overcome these problems, a case control approach was used. Such an approach is not normally used for research of this type because it can suffer from limitations, such as, and so on. However, in the context of the present study, these were not considered to be a major issue because, and so on. Okay. Next, again, you are going to determine what set of purpose is showing in this example. Number 4. Okay, for number 4. Number 4, in research, looking at student learning some area, one might look at things from a behavioral perspective, a social cognitive perspective, or cognitive perspective, or a combination of this. But when perspective would be the best one for investigating the particular questions about students' learning that you have? Okay, you have there inspired by V. Kahayadi, 2007, Improving Teaching and Learning in Introductory Physics. Okay, next, number 5. For number 5. Okay, let's have this for number 5. For number 5 example, In a peace and conflict studies basis, it might be necessary to discuss the varying ways different authors have conceptualized or defined what distinguishes a terrorist organization from a band of freedom fighters and to make a case for the definition you will be applying. Article 2 or paragraph 2, in a study looking at the impact of different levels of alcohol consumption on some health outcome, it may be necessary to discuss the boundaries you have chosen between light, moderate, and heavy drinker. In paragraph 3, in a sociological thesis looking at the social function of verandas and some place during some time period, it may be first necessary to discuss what is actually going to be considered to be a veranda. Okay? Next, number 6. Okay. So if you're going to look at this for number 6, you have there an organizer or a diagram, and it shows there the team task performance. So I want you to look at it, analyze, and think critically. So would it be certainly true, probably true, or possibly true? Okay, the last one, you have number 7. Malaria remains one of the world's greatest public health challenges. Today, an estimated 40% of the world's population remains at risk of malaria, with 500 million cases annually, resulting in 1 to 2 million deaths, mostly of young children, each year. The development of widespread resistance to relatively inexpensive drugs such as chloroquine, the difficulty of so on, have meant that poorer tropical countries have been unable to control malaria. The development of an effective and inexpensive vaccine, thus, major focus of research. Okay. So again, determine what is the set of purpose on this example. Okay, are you done? Shall we check your work? Okay, very good. So let us check your work now, students. And you also check your work. Again, I would like to remind you, you check your work with honesty. As a students, we have to look at also the learning that we had or that we have. We will not only look at the scores, okay? A deep in understanding is much or far more important than the number. But in reality, well then, when we talk about reality, so both academic and number will go together. Okay? Alright, so we will check your work. Let's have number 1. Okay, number 1 is letter B. What? Number 2 is letter C. Number 3 is letter F. Number 4 is letter D. 5 is letter G. Number 6 is letter A. Number 7 is letter A. Okay, who were able to get the correct answer? Wow, you get 7 out of 7. Very good. That's a good indication that you are really learning. I hope also you have fun while you are learning. How about the others? You get 2. Oh, that's not bad, but very bad. No joke. It's okay because there is always a room for improvement. Okay? So for your assignment, you are going to match the words in column A with their definitions under column B. Again, just match column A with column B. So under column A, you have there the words, and column B, those are the definitions. So the words in column A are plagiarism, ethical relativism, ethical standards, ethical principles, ethical dilemma. You have also number 6, ethics, 7, research integrity, 8, norms, 9, self-plagiarism. Number 10, last number is copyright. So it's very easy, right? Yeah, very easy because you still have time to research. And then you're going to match or you are going to answer your assignment. So that's it. Okay. So I hope you will do your assignment. And I guess that would be all for this session. I hope you enjoy and you learn something for this session. This has been your teacher in Practical Research 1. This is Teacher Aiza, your partner in learning. Don't forget that learning is fun. And that, thank you and God bless. Again, remember, learning is fun.